Well, let's go to a newspaper that has been the most supportive of the Conservative Party, certainly in the run-up to 2019 and that general election and since. I'm joined by David Maddox, the political editor of the Daily Express online. Now, David, your newspaper, both in print and online, you've been almost slavishly devoted to this Conservative Party, urging your readers that these are the right people to follow, and your readers, who many of whom have scrimped and saved and don't really want a big state. At least I don't think they want a big state. Perhaps they do. Perhaps things have changed. David, please answer the question: given what these taxes mean for small business, small entrepreneurs, anybody, frankly, working, facing the most extraordinary rise in taxes over the course of the next 6 or 7 years, please tell us from Express Towers what the point now of the Conservative Party actually is.
Well, I'm actually speaking to you from Brexit heartland in Dagenham, so I know you're very familiar with that part of the world. I think you slightly mischaracterise us there. It wasn't that long ago that we were telling people to vote UKIP and for the Brexit Party when you were the leader of those two great parties. We tend to be fairly pragmatic in our approach to, and certainly in 2019, what choice was there? It was Boris Johnson promising to get Brexit done, or Jeremy Corbyn with Keir Starmer basically trying to take us back into the EU. So, yeah, of course we supported them then. But I was just listening to that conversation there you were having with Martin. I was just remembering when you and I went to the US just before lockdown and the pandemic, and we were having a conversation with Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz there. And, the two of you were saying, well, the Conservative Party is called the Conservative Party, but it's not actually very conservative. And it's hard not to agree with that. And it's not just the tax rises and so forth. It's also on social policy as well. I mean, that Theresa May thing was not an outlier by any means. There is a good chunk of the Conservative Party who would support that sort of view on the trans debate. And it's a party that happens to have Conservatives in it, most of whom are on the fringe, and that's a fact of it.
David, I wouldn't for one moment, of course, not want to acknowledge the amazing support the Express gave me as leader of both UKIP and the Brexit Party. You did, but, and I get your point about the choice against Jeremy Corbyn, but your readers are overwhelmingly on the Conservative side of the debate. If I was to ask you to speak to a group of Express readers and tell them what the differences now are between this Conservative Party and the Labour Party under Keir Starmer, what would you say?
I think it's very difficult now. It was a much easier job with that brief period when Liz Truss was Prime Minister, but I look at Prime Minister's questions now, and essentially you look across to Starmer and Sunak, ideologically you're looking at almost identical people. There are some small differences, certainly in rhetoric. I mean, Sunak's talking the talk on immigration control and things in words which Starmer would never use. But policy-wise, there's hardly anything between them. I was saying to one of your researchers earlier, it's that famous scene from the end of Animal Farm, when the animals are looking through the farmhouse window and they see the pigs and the humans and they can't tell the difference between the two of them. We're kind of, to a certain degree, in that space now with our two main parties.
On that thought, David Maddox, I'll say thank you and wish you all the best for 2023. Thank you for joining us this evening.